Welcome to SHP Case Studies. I'm Ryan Paris, the founder and CEO of Superhuman Prospecting, and we are doing a series of cold call case studies from campaigns that we've done from specific industries to specific marketplaces that each have a unique story that we want to share to help you decide if cold calling can work for your business or if you just want to see cold calling work in general and see if we can help you. So we have a employment services company today reaching out to hospitals. So in short, medical staffing reaching out to healthcare. Now, this is an interesting graph that we have, an interesting kind of line that we are going to share because there was a big peak of appointment setting and then there was a drop off. And we want to share with you why as well, but how it can be sustained going forward. So when we look at cold calling, we don't necessarily look at it as a house that needs to be built and we just kind of set it and forget it, but a fire that needs to keep burning and getting bigger. And sometimes the fire gets a little bit, smaller, and sometimes we need to readjust and make it bigger. Sometimes it's raining outside, right? So we're going to go and look into why this one had some interesting levels of varied success. Overall, though, a very successful average of 2.36%. But let's look into what they offer. This company does medical staffing for nursing homes, clinics, doctors' offices, hospitals. They also can do the payroll, they kind of the back end work for some of these healthcare centers. And the idea was to make calls to the HR department or those in charge of hiring for the company and set up a meeting to kind of share with them the different things that could be done. So it was a phone appointment only, so a specific date and time to talk on the phone. So when we looked at which script that we should use, we have three different scripts that we typically will choose. We either have a consultative format for those that are behind a desk. We have a no bull script, which is meant for more of quick and to the point. And then we also have a survey, which is a little bit more to create an allure or create some type of qualification that would put the prospective company in a position of power, and then the prospect in one where they want to know what's going to be happening with that information. The majority of the time, we're going to be using a consultative conversation, which is what we did here, because a lot of times the people that we're calling have a bit more time to go through a conversation and have that ability to build trust, which is optimal for the salesperson. So when we called, we had looked at using some type of quick line that would be relevant to them and go on with a question around their use case. And that's typically the quick prop and a hone in, a quick introduction to get them in the right frame of mind to think in, maybe a let benefit or feature. And then a hone in is a question that gets them in a conversation and is typically balanced so that regardless of what they say, it's going to be the right one that we can use. So the interesting thing was this was the last iteration of the script. And the reason I say that is because, and you'll see this in the graph, that it started off slower. And as we got better with the market and the message and the SDR fit and which product relevance was going to resonate, we saw a very high peak in the middle of the campaigns of this study where it actually rose to a much higher percentage than our average. But then we actually hit COVID right as it was peaking, and we actually saw a dip, which is counterintuitive. And I'll share why in a second. But this was the last iteration, still generating over or around average appointment setting results overall for our company. We have these averages of and I'll go through it a little bit later, but we had these averages that we were beating, and then it ended more at the average, which was very interesting. So, hi, my name is Ryan with XYZ Employment Services Company. I'm calling because we understand during these difficult times, you might need to fortify your business position and grow even more than usual. And a lot of times, because in the healthcare world, they needed more staff because the healthcare centers, the hospitals were seeing a huge rise in patients. Are you currently using a medical staffing service, or have you considered it in the past? So whether they say yes or whether they say no, that's fine. We can work with that, and we go into our calling prop. And if they've said anything that give us a clue about how to customize the conversation, we can. But we kind of go through the offering, a quick description, benefits, uh, about how this can help them, and then go in with a next step with a phone chat and with our president Imran, kind of to assess the needs. So very simple scripts using an urgency or kind of at the times type of messaging was the way that we went about this, because times had changed from when we first engaged with this client to when we ended. And that's something that not many folks will think of when engaging in sales activity, and especially with a partner, are the dynamic things that can go on in the macroeconomic space that can make an impact on results. So let's take a look. With this specific uh, this series of campaigns, we had a very high DM connect rate on average. So to give you a sense of our averages, we did a study of about 300,000 calls. On average, we were at about an 8% DM connect rate. So about one every 11 or 12 calls, we were able to get to a decision maker. And out of those, we had a 17% appointment setting rate. So, of those decision maker or stakeholder conversations, about one in every six or so turned into an appointment, which is above our average, like it's 17.46. And so, overall, we had a 2.36%, which is less than one in every 50 calls we got, 50 raw calls we got an appointment. That is fantastic appointment setting results. Typically, because our average is about a 1.26% appointment setting rate. And our lead setting rate was a 3.49. So about one in every 25 or so dials, we had gotten a lead. So what is that difference between a lead and an appointment? Well, an appointment is considered a lead. It is a nurture, a warm, and an appointment. An appointment is a specific date and time that the prospect is committed to. A warm is a follow-up call, but just not at a specific date and time. And then a nurture is an email uh, permission with no specific uh, uh, permission to follow up call. So we had a 3.49. So a lot of leads generated here uh, as well that we can nurture and work, even if it was not an appointment. They weren't quite ready for that yet. So let's look down at the graph. We have this mountain slope. Interesting. And what we found is when we dug into the details, we were able to really ramp up the results by tweaking those four pillars of cold call success. What is the relevance of the product? Who is the exact market that we want to reach out to? What's the messaging that matches, and the right SDRs to do the work? And this is what we found. Started at around a 1.5%, moved up to the threes, and peaked at the 4.5%. So at our best, we had a 17% DM connect rate, just about average with a lot of the other ones there. But we were converting really high at that time. And that was campaign 4 was right around January, February 2020. This is interesting because we actually saw a decrease over time with the appointment setting as COVID started to uh, really increase over that second quarter in 2020. So you can see that decline in the appointment setting, and what you also see is a slight decline. I think campaign 5 was March 2020, and you start to see a slow decline in the DM connect rate, especially in campaign 7, and then appointment setting rate going down with it. And kind of the conclusion there is we needed to kind of retool our strategy at that point, because what we saw was that during COVID, it wasn't that they didn't need it. It was that they were so busy and they had a hard time getting to those phones. So you see that we had the lowest DM connect rate in that campaign 7. It was almost half of what we were getting before. So you can see if it was at that normal rate, we probably would have gotten, in that 2.5 or something around that range, that would be right around normal. So you can see the macro environments having an impact on even a very strong offering. And this client did come back to us, and we continued to work together through his market. Once kind of COVID was a little bit more consistent, we were able to read it a little bit better. But you can see the success of a needed product in a space that um, has a uh, desire to fill in spaces through a medical staffing company. So very relevant product. I love learning about these because of how unique, the clients come and how it can be relevant to companies like you who might be wanting to use cold calling or thinking about cold calling for yourself, or if you're looking to outsource. Please reach out with any questions. Happy to answer if you have any uh, things to note about this campaign specifically, or just want to talk about cold calling in general. Thank you. Are you a company that wants to grow their sales pipeline but don't know how to do it outside of cold email, inbound, and normal channels? Consider SHP. We provide cold call appointment setting and sales development services to generate leads and appointments outbound for your sales pipeline so you can have control over your sales destiny. Give us a call at the number provided or reach out to us in any way. We're happy to chat with you about how we can cold call and generate leads so that you don't have to. Be excited to do the work for you and can't wait to hear from you.